Hey everyone, welcome to the Royce Reports. I'm your host, Royce. This guy with the hat right here, that's me. I'm Royce. Hello, nice to meet you. Anyways, today we have some great news to be talking about, and it's been a kind of crazy week. So we're going to be talking about Jim, Ryan, Cryin, Ryan, Lyin, Cryin, Ryan, Fine, Brussels sprout, Jim Ryan, the guy, you know who he is. The guy from PlayStation. He is actually running over to Brussels to talk to them about trying to stop this deal from happening and to make sure that Microsoft does not acquire Activision Blizzard. But we also going to talk about HiFi Rush and this huge successful hit that Tango Gameworks and Xbox has on their hands. So let's talk about it. All right, first things first, we're obviously going to talk about the whole Jim Ryan thing. So we already know that Microsoft is trying to acquire Activision, and this is something that everyone's been talking about for the past year. If you haven't heard about it, welcome to the year 2023. And the world isn't ended yet, and The Last of Us is a good show. Yep, so go check it out. But once you come out of that rock, let me tell you about this deal that's been going on. Activision Blizzard. Has it been happening? Yes, it's been a long time coming, and we have still a long ways to go, but Jim is desperately trying to make sure that we have an even longer time to wait because he's trying to get this deal canceled. So, of course, through the normal measures that the EU has to take, they're talking to the other people in the industry that have insight on what's going on, and that means the competitors to Microsoft. So that means Sony. So in this case, Sony is going to go and talk to them about trying to get this deal canceled. So this is what they had to say about that. Sony pays a visit. Sony CEO Jim Ryan was in Brussels this week to meet with EU competition chief Marguerite Vestager and her team dealing with the Microsoft Activision acquisition case. The PlayStation maker, perhaps the most affected party from the takeover, has made its position clear time and again. This deal should be rejected as conditional measures would be nearly impossible to enforce before irreparable damage is done. At stake is the Call of Duty franchise, the most lucrative of the gaming market that counts for 2/3 of PlayStation's revenues. This is not the first time that Jim has actually been over to Brussels to talk to the EU about this. This is his second time going and flying to them. And they've even made comments about this, about how Sony is over there talking to the regulators more than they're talking to Microsoft about all of this. And I don't think this is a good sign for Sony moving forward, because this is going to really make some bad blood between these two companies because of how hard Sony is trying to get this deal to be canceled. So again, he is back there talking to them about this because they're asking people again about the insight of gaming regulation and what it means if Microsoft did acquire Activision. But the thing is that he's actually going over there and telling them that they have no conditions to keep Call of Duty in parity on PlayStation, and that there's nothing in writing at all to prevent that from happening. And the thing is, there actually is something in writing. Microsoft sent a 10-year deal, not to just Sony, but to Steam and Nintendo. And you know what happened with those? Well, Nintendo accepted it, and there's rumors of them actually building a studio to handle the Switch and Nintendo architecture, so that way they could help port those Call of Duty games over to Nintendo. But Steam also came out and they said, hey, we did get a letter from them that signed this saying that they're going to bring Call of Duty to Steam in parity with the Xbox platform. But because we believe that Microsoft is very, very easy to work with and they don't typically lie about all of their stuff that they're dealing with, we're going to trust them and we're not even going to sign this contract. And they even extended that contract over to Sony. And like we discussed before, Sony said, no, this is inadequate on many levels. We want more. And the fact is, what's crazy is how hypocritical Sony is in this, because they want to have console parity. That means they want DLC at the same time. They want to make sure that the console, the Xbox Series X, doesn't have a leap or any sort of advantage over PlayStation. And the reason why they are hypocrites is because they have done exactly that with pretty much every single Call of Duty experience. They have either gotten double XP, they've gotten maps before Xbox players have. They've even gotten entire modes a whole year in advance before Xbox was able to get them. So they obviously don't want that, because they know that once they have that Xbox logo next to the Call of Duty name, then a lot of people are going to associate Call of Duty and Xbox, and they're going to move over to that platform. And that's what Sony is afraid of, especially when they say it can pretty much consist of 2/3 of their revenue. They really don't want that happening. But what's really cool is that someone from Microsoft actually spoke up and had some stuff to say about that. Frank X. Shaw, who's currently the lead communications for Microsoft, has stated, "I hear Sony is briefing people in Brussels claiming Microsoft is unwilling to offer them parity for Call of Duty if we acquire Activision. Nothing could be further from the truth. We've been clear we've offered Sony a 10-year deal to give them parity on timing, content, features, quality, playability, and any other aspect of the game. We've also said we're happy to make this enforceable through a contract, regulatory agreements, or other means. Sony is the console market leader, and it would defy business logic for us to exclude PlayStation gamers from the Call of Duty ecosystem. Our goal is to bring Call of Duty and other games, as we did with Minecraft, to more people around the world so they can play from where and how they want." So this is really cool. This is awesome to see Microsoft kind of coming out and saying some stuff. Now, I know this isn't Microsoft specifically, but he does work there, and he has, I guess, some sort of participation in this whole entire thing. So this is really cool to see them kind of fighting that fight and pretty much calling Sony out, calling them liars, because that's exactly what they are. They are lying. And I can't believe that this is okay. It seems like, I feel like the EU is not stupid, but they can also go and show this evidence to the EU and pretty much make whatever argument that Jim Ryan is trying to make pretty much null and void. But we also got to understand that PlayStation is a very dominant force over there in the Europe market, and it is the market leader there, and that can also have some sway over some things. So we have still some time left, and we really don't know when or how long this is really going to take. There's estimates that it could be over by June, but I've heard that it could be even longer, so we'll have to wait and see. But moving on to something else, we're going to be moving on and talking about HiFi Rush. Now, if you haven't played HiFi Rush, do yourself a favor and go and download it right now and try it out. It doesn't hurt if you have Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, go and do that. But this game is a blast. I have enjoyed a lot of it. I haven't really gotten too far into it, but from everything that I've seen online and from my own experience with it, about 2 to 3 hours in, I love what they had to offer, and I can't wait to jump back into it once I finish Dead Space. But HiFi Rush is really, really thrilling, and it's really fun, and it is a great, I just lose time whenever I hop into that game. So this is really, really impressive that it's as popular as it is. And the reason why I say that is because this was a day one drop that had no hype around it whatsoever, and it just randomly got given to us as a gift from the heavens and placed into our little stockings. And it wasn't cold that we received, but a 90 Metacritic game is what we got instead. So this is really cool. Definitely check it out. But what's the best part about all of this is the fact that it is outselling Forspoken on Steam. And that is wild. That is crazy. That just goes to show that you just need a good game, and that's all you need, and it'll do well because of all of the stuff that's going on with Forspoken. It running at 720p and reaching 18 frames per second. Yep, that's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, guys. That is the power of the PlayStation 5 in front of you right there. Now, this game doesn't look like it's really pushing the boundaries at all, so I really can't understand how it's running that way. It just all pretty much comes down to poor optimization. But the fact is that you have this game selling extremely, extremely poorly. This is another Square Enix miss, and I feel really bad for Square sometimes because I feel like everything that's not Final Fantasy really does pretty terrible because they just don't give a shit, and this shows. And so, but what's really impressive is if you go and you look at the sales for HiFi Rush, they have the Steam numbers. So let's look at that. HiFi Rush outsold Forspoken on Steam at launch. Despite being available with Game Pass and having a stealth launch, Tango Gameworks' latest adventure seems to be off to a great start. As it turns out, not being hyped beforehand did not hurt this game at all. In fact, it was quite the opposite. SteamDB has now summarized the 10 best-selling products on Valve's platforms last week, and it turns out, despite being widely available with Game Pass, HiFi Rush, position number 8, actually outsold Square Enix's very hyped and massive JRPG Forspoken, which failed to even make top 10 on Steam. To make things even more impressive, SteamDB measures revenue, and HiFi Rush is a $30 product, with Forspoken costing $70, which reveals that the difference in units is even bigger. So what this actually means is that Steam doesn't look at how many units are sold, but it actually looks at the total amount of money that it's made, and it puts the list out like that. So because the fact that HiFi Rush is a cheaper game than Forspoken, it had to sell more units in order to outpace it, which it did, which is awesome. That is great news. And this is really cool because of the fact that it is in Game Pass. It's pretty much free to you if you have the Game Pass service. But that's the thing that is wild about this, is that it is in Game Pass. You can get this game for $1 if you subscribe for $1 and it's your first time subscribing, or $15, so half the price of the game itself, and you have access to 400 and something other games at the tip of your fingers. So this is really, really cool. And this also goes to prove that Game Pass doesn't necessarily mean that games will die. So a lot of people like to run with this narrative that Game Pass is killing the conventional games and that how we see gaming as a whole, which it's not, because you can look at the sales of HiFi Rush and see that this game is selling phenomenally well for a game that is on Game Pass. Not only that, but they also did another thing where they go and they release a Game Pass version of the game. They release a deluxe edition of the game, and then they have an upgrade path for that. So instead of buying the deluxe edition, all you have to do is just have a Game Pass subscription, and then you could buy the upgrade path, and then you'll get all of the unlockables that you would normally get if you bought the deluxe edition for only like $10. So that's what I did. I bought the deluxe edition upgrade path, and I don't own the game because it's in Game Pass, but I have all the upgrades. So I could go and I could use the 20,000 points that they gave me to upgrade my character, and I have all those skins that I'm rocking as well. And that's really cool. That's another way for them to monetize their games, and that's what they did with Forza. It's what they're doing with Redfall, and I feel like going forward, Xbox is going to continue to do that because it's another means to gain more money, and it allows people who really wouldn't go for the deluxe edition to go and get those goodies because, well, I'm not actually paying a whole $80 to $90 for this game. I'm only paying $10 to $20 for the upgrade path, so why not? And that is another revenue path that people tend to overlook when they come to talk about how Game Pass is killing gaming. So this is just another proof that this is actually not the case. It's actually super impressive that this not only outdid a AAA Square Enix game, but it did so with it being a $30 game and being on Game Pass. So what say you, huh? What say you? Nothing. This is really cool. That's all I really want to talk about. I just wanted to say that you got to go play I always want to say High on Life. You got to go and play HiFi Rush because this game is truly special, and I think that they have a huge hit on their hands, and I can't wait to see more information about it. Right now, the current Metacritic is like 89, but I feel like it could either go up or down depending on who ends up reviewing this game. But it is a great game. This is a great time to be a gamer because we had such great games come to the Xbox platform in January. You have Persona 3, 4, Monster Hunter Rise, you have Dead Space, you also have HiFi Rush, and don't forget about SpongeBob. Don't sleep on SpongeBob. What do you guys think of this news about Jim Ryan trying to go and stop this deal from happening when he's just lying and he just keeps getting caught in these lies? And what do you guys think about HiFi Rush? Have you played it? Do you enjoy it? And do you think that Game Pass is actually destroying the AAA gaming franchises as we know? Let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you like everything Xbox, because I do. And if you like hanging out with me, I mean, whatever. That's cool. I don't care. I don't need you. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. And I thank you all for watching. I'll be seeing you guys on the next one. And remember, take it easy.